downtown Providence. And it's also near the Rhode Island School of Design, which will be relevant later. Additionally, it's also accessible via Amtrak to most of the large cities in the Northeast region. And some statistics, the US News Report ranked Brown as the 14th best national university. Additionally, it was ranked number 4 in undergraduate teaching and is part of the Ivy League. In terms of demographics, Brown has around 6,700 undergraduate students, 2,500 graduate students, and 570 medical students. The student to faculty ratio is around 7:1. And on screen, you can see some gender and ethnicity data. As of 2021, the tuition was $62,000, but it does tend to go up every year. Although the tuition is set at the year that you get accepted, so throughout your stay at Brown, your tuition doesn't increase. And one factored in cost of living, the estimated total cost per year is about $82,000, which varies depending on student lifestyle. And finally, Brown operates on a semester-based academic calendar, which is different from a lot of schools in California, but is pretty standard for schools in the Northeast. One of Brown's signature programs is its open curriculum, which is a personalized course of study. So basically you can choose any class from its curriculum. This allows for student-centered learning, which allows for exploration of your interests. And in general, by the second or third year, students will declare their concentration, which is essentially a focused study that's equivalent to a major at most other universities. For academic resources, there's 6 libraries with over 100 online databases and 250 special collections that contain rare primary source material. Additionally, you're able to conduct research as early as your first year. Brown has 4 major academic divisions for its concentrations. So you have your arts and humanities, which include things like classics and English language and history. Life science, so things like neuroscience, psychology, and biology. Your physical sciences, such as engineering, physics, and chemistry. And social sciences, such as anthropology or economics. Some of the most popular concentrations are computer science, econometrics and quantitative economics, biology, history, and applied math. Additionally, Brown has a global education program which allows students to study abroad. And every year, more than 450 undergraduates study in countries around the globe at universities which Brown has strong global partnerships with. And in terms of graduation requirements, you must complete 30 course credits with at least 2 writing courses, which is pretty much the only restriction in terms of choosing courses. And additionally, you must complete at least 1 concentration and 8 semesters, so 4 years. And Brown also has 3 special programs. So the first is the program in liberal medical education, which is basically a bachelor MD combined program, and it's also the only one in the Ivy League. So basically you complete a bachelor's degree in the sciences or humanities, and then afterwards you'll pursue an MD. It's also possible to pursue an MPH or MD PhD parallel to the MD, but you must complete the MD. And you submit 1 application to Brown and the PLME, and you also must complete additional supplements. And every year, around 50 first-year undergraduates are accepted into this program. The second one is the RESID dual degree program, which basically is a joint degree with the Rhode Island School of Design, which is nearby. It's a 5-year program where you must complete a Brown concentration and a RESID major to graduate. And you also must complete a separate application for both and be accepted by both. And it's also important to note that for these special programs, there's no early decision. And finally, for resumed undergraduate education, it's generally for students who have an interrupted formal education, which in most cases is for the military. In terms of admission, the required documents include the high school transcript, Common App, and 2 teacher and counselor recommendation letters. Brown is an SAT and ACT optional school. And just for reference, the average ACT score was a 34. There are also optional supplements, which include things like music portfolios, academic papers, dance or theater performances, and also additional letters of recommendation. Now, as previously mentioned, you don't need to declare your major because of the open curriculum. There's also no interview, but there is an option to send a 2-minute video introducing yourself, which is highly recommended. Brown is an ED school, and its ED deadline is November 1st, and its RD deadline is January 5th. And you're also able to register for campus tour online, which can be either in person or virtual. In terms of campus life and support, around 74% of undergraduates live on campus, and it's required for you to live on campus for 6 semesters or your first 3 years. There's also a large advising system, and there's a faculty advisor assigned to every incoming student, but there's also a plethora of additional advising programs, and some of the notable ones are listed on screen. Brown also has 34 varsity teams which compete in Division I athletics in the Ivy League Conference, 500 student clubs and 500 student clubs and organizations. It also meets 100% of financial aid and is need blind in the application process. And there's also another support center, which is Career Lab, which is basically a career services center that helps with graduating students. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So we have a student in Brown, Vivian Lee. She is a freshman at Brown. So Vivian, can you share your experience at Brown? Vivian, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, give me a sec. Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Vivian. I'm a current freshman at Brown University, and I'll be talking a bit about Brown today, as well as some of the things I think are important about Brown based on my experience as a student here. So about Brown. Brown is located in Providence, Rhode Island, and Rhode Island is a small state on the East Coast, and it's just east of Connecticut, south of Massachusetts, northeast of New York City and Pennsylvania. Providence is the capital of Rhode Island, and Providence is a very quaint city. It has very much of a college town feel, where it's very youthful, but it's also a very historical place. And it's very accessible, where we have a really nice downtown area with pretty good food options, and we also have a mall just down the river that flows through Providence. And if you look at the picture under the map, you can see this hill, and Brown University is located right on the top of College Hill, and it's just uphill of our neighboring school, RISD, the Rhode Island School of Design. And some fast facts about Brown. We're one of the 8 Ivy League schools, and we're a pretty medium-sized school with around 6,800 total undergraduates, with around 1,700 students per year. We have 80+ undergraduate concentrations and majors, with over 2,000 courses offered annually. We also have a 6-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio, with around 100 nations represented, and we also have an acceptance rate of 5.5%, and 100% of financial need requested by students are met by Brown University. And here are some statistics. The middle 50% of admitted students scored between 1480 and 1560 on the SAT and 33 and 35 on the ACT. So if you've heard about Brown before, you've probably heard about the open curriculum. And basically what the open curriculum is Brown's approach to education, where we have no core or general requirement courses like most colleges, where you need to take a certain list of subjects in order to graduate. Brown students are able to take any classes they want out of the 80 plus concentrations we have, and this is often introduced by Brown as allowing students to be the architect of their own education. This means that Brown students have a lot of freedom to explore a variety of subjects and really find out what they are interested in. And this allows students to create a very individualized curriculum, kind of just taking classes that you're interested in and you want to take, and this allows Brown to create a very highly engaged and vibrant intellectual environment. And additionally, in terms of academics, what makes Brown special is that we have a shopping period at the start of every semester, and it's 2 weeks long, and basically what it is that students can shop for any of the classes that are offered that semester, and that means they can go to any of the classes and sit in and just listen to it, and basically go to any class you think is interesting or you're curious about to get a feel of the class before committing to it. And this is a really nice system from Brown because you can really go to any class that, even classes that you normally don't think you would take, and just listen to it. And you really learn a lot during those 2 weeks, and you can really think about what classes you want to take that semester. And we also have a pretty special grading option where every class you have the option to either do a normal ABC grading system, or you can do S&C, and S&C stands for Satisfactory No Credit, which is a pass-fail system essentially, where if you pass a class, you get a S on your transcript, which means you were satisfactory, and if you fail, you get no credit on the class and it doesn't show up on your transcript. And this is a pretty important system because it shows that Brown values learning a lot more over grades, and it encourages people to take classes in new subjects and in subjects they usually wouldn't take. And I think it's just really nice because it kind of takes away the pressure of grades when you're trying to learn a subject, because sometimes in high school you might not do very well in the class and then you end up not liking the subject, but that doesn't really happen at Brown. And even some of the classes at Brown are required, like mandatory S&C. Like all the visual arts classes are mandatory S&C, meaning like all the classes only has S&C as the grade option, because they want people to like really enjoy art making instead of thinking they're like not good at art and not taking the art class. And we also have independent concentrations, and this is basically where students can create their own concentration, and that means they can pursue pretty much anything they want, and that means you have unlimited concentration options. And it's a really nice system, but it's also a very long and strict process because you go through a lot of steps to get your concentration approved, but it's really nice to have that flexibility and option to kind of pursue anything you want. And in general, students at Brown, I would describe them with these few adjectives: passionate, curious, open-minded, and collaborative. Brown students, they have a lot of unique interests, which I find is a very big part about Brown that's very special, where like if you go up to anyone and talk to them, they can talk a really long time about their interests. And a lot of people at Brown choose to double major in very different subjects. Like I have a few friends that are pre-med and they want to concentrate in biology and English, or Some people want to do CS and art. So there's a lot of very interesting combinations that you can do. And Brown is also, it has a very collaborative community, and that's because of our non-stressful grading options, and kind of the school is very not competitive, and students like to work together and collaborate and really help each other out. And something else I found very interesting about Brown is that the students here have a pretty deep appreciation for the arts, and that means that students here really like art and music and theater, all that sorts of things. And even people that are interested in STEM and are STEM majors, a lot of them end up taking a lot of humanities classes just because they're interested in it. And additionally, student life at Brown, we have a lot of clubs and communities. For example, we have departmental undergraduate groups, also known as DUGs, which are basically student groups for every concentration department and for like CS or biology, and you can really meet people that have the same interests as you. We also have a lot of different interest clubs, and we also have Greek life, but the Greek life at Brown isn't very prominent, but there is that option if you're interested in it. And we also have sports with a lot of intramural sports teams like tennis, basketball, soccer, etc., and also lots of sports games throughout the year. We also have a pretty strong arts and music scene, where we have a lot of a cappella groups and theater groups and art clubs, and we also have organ concerts a few times every semester, which are really popular. We also have a ton of research opportunities, where you can do research with a lot of distinguished professors in a variety of subjects. And Brown students also have the option to cross-register for RISD classes, and there are also a ton of Brown RISD joint clubs. I'm in a few of them, and they're really cool because you get to interact with students from RISD and work with them, and it's just really nice. And we also, like Eric mentioned, we have the Brown RISD dual degree program, and even if you're not in that program, you can still cross-register for RISD classes. So about Brown's campus. We have a very walkable and safe campus where it only takes around 15 minutes to get from South Campus to North Campus. So it's very nice, and people usually just walk to classes, or they use the rentable scooters, or we also have a shuttle system. There's also Thayer Street that runs through Brown, where it's basically the street with the Brown bookstore and restaurants and a bunch of stores and CVS. We also, a big part of the Brown campus is the main green, which is this large green area in our central campus, and usually when the weather is really nice, you can see a ton of students just having picnics on the main green or doing work on the main green, and it's really nice there. We have 6 libraries, two humanities libraries and a science library. We also have 6 dining halls / cafes with 3 main dining halls, and we also have housing throughout campus. And I highly recommend visiting Brown if you can, but if not, there's a virtual tour on Brown's website, and I also recommend watching YouTube videos where there's a lot of Brown students that vlog and kind of show around Brown through videos. And then lastly, life in Providence. Providence has a really nice downtown area where we have restaurants, cafes, and small stores. We have the Providence Mall and ice rink, and also the river. We also have the RISD Art Museum, which has a ton of really cool art, and it's only around 10-minute walk from Brown. We also have the Water Fire Festival, which is a big thing in Providence, where a lot of the local residents of Rhode Island would come and watch the festival, and it's like the picture on the very bottom right of this slide. And we're also, since Providence is very much a college town, we're also we're still very accessible to nearby states, where a lot of Brown students will go to Boston on the weekend, since it's only a 1-hour train ride to Boston and around like 3 hours to New York. So it's really nice. It's a really nice place to go to school, since you're in like this small town, but you can also go to like Boston or New York if you want to. And in general, I think Brown is just a very collaborative environment with you have a lot of freedom to explore subjects, and the people here are very nice and super unique and interesting. So yeah.
好，谢谢 Vivian 所以我们今天介绍的这几所大学，我们同学们、家长们还有问题可以提，我们的学姐、学长们都在这个里边。如果有同学提问，还可以提问。我看一下 chat 里有没有问题。chat 里好像没有关于大学的问题，那没关系。我们同学如果想到任何一所美国的名校去参观，你可以提前告诉我，我们这里几乎都有我们所有的毕业，就是已经从我们这里毕业的到这些学校的学习的学姐或者学长，像上次有一个同学 visit 参观那个布朗大学，那我们的Vivian同学就接待了他，跟这个学长们